Hi everyone, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads. We're going to go into another episode here of Beader, and hopefully this one will save you a little time. The nice thing about this Beader, I didn't really have to do much work because Lindsay already did all of this work in her blog, The Ultimate Bezel Guide. So what she did was she tested out exactly how many beads it takes to bezel around different items when you're working with Delica beads. So if you have not checked out the blog, you definitely want to do so. I printed out so you could see that she has the exact counts for when you're working with different items in the rounds, how many you need to start out with. Now, if you're using something other than Delicas, you'll want to do a little research. Google is your friend when it comes to this because there's a bunch of different blog writers that have written on this subject, and you can find some charts out there. A lot of people will start the bezel with actually using the Delicas. The reason the Delicas are used is because they have that perfect fit that they go right against, and they form a really, really nice bond that doesn't allow any really thread to show and the crystals to sit really nicely. Every once in a while, you'll have a stone that isn't going to be exact. My recommendation for that is to take that measurement when you're looking at it and actually measure the circumference of the piece. So this here is a 30 by 40 millimeter cab, and it is an oval. So I have the oval counts as well as the square, and then the drop counts too. This again is all on Lindsay's blog, which we will put links to below the video so you can reference that and look at it. When you're looking at something that is not exactly to size or something that is freeform, the way that you'll want to measure it is to measure the circumference of the stone. That's going to give you a little bit of an idea and do a little bit of mathematics to figure out exactly kind of how wide or what the size is, and kind of line it up when you're looking at the outside, the width versus the length, because that's going to give you a little bit more of that indication of how many beads you actually need. Now this one here does not have Delicas, it has seed beads. And you can see when you're using seed beads, it has a little bit more of an open pattern around this cabochon. It's also just a starting block for you to work. So this one here, it's oval, so it says about 88 Delicas. Generally speaking, if you're using 11-0 seed beads, they're going to be larger. So you're going to use and know that you're going to start out with a little bit smaller of a count. I actually prefer to start out anything that's bezeled with an actual brick stitch as the starting row. You can check out another video that I did that I started with brick stitch on this YouTube channel by searching on the YouTube channel for the little arrow for bezeling. And I think I did it around a free-form druzy cab too when you're looking on it. So coming up with the actual drops and the measurements. Again, these are just Delica counts. We'll go in and we'll do one for you on regular seed bead counts as well. But I would recommend that if you're getting into doing some of this bezeling, that you want to start out with the Delicas. You can see the Delica difference between the 11-0s in Delicas versus the 11-0 seed beads, and they really do just have a much nicer fit. Even for these Arctic earrings here around the mood cabs, you're going to have a really, really nice fit. One thing that the actual chart here does not tell you is how many to go up basically when you're working with it. So if you want to go up, how many rows are you going around? The reason I have two different ones here that are about the same size, working with a 12 and a 14 here, you can see the rise in the different rivolis or cabochon, or this one's even a cushion bead here that Anna did. It's going to vary the amount of rows that you need to do of that bezeling, but you know exactly how many to start out with. When you are beginning your project or beginning your stitch, this will give you that indication of how many that first starter row. Even if you want to do that brick stitch at the start and have it go around the cab, it'll still let you know how many rows of that brick stitch that you're going to start out with. Even on things like the actual buttons, when I did the cabochons as buttons, I still used Lindsay's chart here as a reference to tell me exactly how many to start with. So when I was doing a 12 millimeter or a 10 millimeter, I didn't have to guess. Again, if you're using seed beads, try it with 2 less of that 11-0 seed bead and kind of go from there, multiplying up. It still gives you a general start and a general area to start that design process without making you really struggle figuring out exactly how many beads need to go on. The reason that the Delicas are used often for the charts rather than seed beads is because there is some variance in size with seed beads, and the measurement is going to be much more exact with the Delicas. My recommendation, whether or not you're doing a square, an oval, a drop when you're working with them, is to actually get the Delicas and get them in a nice neutral color. Like this, I think, is that honey gold lined. You have it in a nice matte metallic, because that's going to allow you the flexibility that even if you don't want to do the entire thing in the Delicas, like these have 15s towards the start, or even if you're doing a bead weaving that you're doing around the wrap here, you still know the general size of what the cab is going to be. And even if you're doing bead embroidery like Ashley's piece here, you know what the count on the outer edge and the outer stitch should be. So it takes away some of that guessing for ovals, rounds, even when you're doing bezeling on the actual ultra suede or doing it on the stiff stuff. So it gives you that starting block. One of the most difficult things, and one of the things that people really stay away from doing with that bezeling, is the fact that they can't get that fit right. Use the internet, use this blog, use it as your friend to learn from others. Keep in mind, you can also post in our beading and jewelry making forum on Facebook, that Facebook group. You can ask questions. Chances are somebody already bezeled it with some size of seed bead that you're looking to get the answer for. So use technology and friends and the beading community as your guide to help you learn how to do this bezeling. Once you learn how to do the bezeling, it actually opens up a lot of options. I even put here that I kind of grabbed a little example to show that when I'm looking at the different sizes, this here is a bag full of toggles. And the toggles here I have started with the actual peyote stitch in the 11s, in the 8s. It's going to give you an idea when you do your first circular ring exactly how big it's going to be in measurement diameter. So not only are you learning how to bezel things, but you're also learning how to make these rings and these connection points that you can play around with and learn the size that you're going to get prior to actually starting, and knowing how many materials, if you want to do something like this, you're going to need on hand to start your project. So whether or not you're bezeling a cabochon, whether or not you're bezeling a bead, a drop, if you're doing bead weaving, if you're doing actual bead embroidery, the blog and this technology, again, that community and forum, will help you get connected with what to use. When you have an idea what to use beforehand, it makes that struggle way less and makes beading way more fun. So keep in mind, again, you can ask questions. You can comment below your favorite amount of Delicas or seed beads to use and the different counts, any charts that you have, and really have this be an open conversation to make it easier to achieve the awesome bezel look without lots of pain. As always, with all of these Better Beader episodes, they are designed to make you a better beader and to help you along the way to learn more skills, to get to be better at those skills, and to kind of increase your artistic talent. Keep in mind that you can subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates when I come out with new Better Beader episodes each week, as well as tutorials, spotlights, and keeping informed of what's going on in the beading community. You can always, again, give a little thumbs up. Let me know if you like these Better Beader episodes, so that way we continue to kind of craft them towards you, the beader. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy doing all of your bezeling using Lindsay's blog as a guide to help you along the way.